I'm taking Adrian Peterson.
What makes you think you'll get the first pick?
Really, dude? A baseball bat? It's almost football season.
You had him last year. I'm not letting you get him again.
This is Ghouls, Guts, and Gore, the show for the Halloween and horror obsessed. I'm your host, Brandon Smith, and today, in honor of the 2013 NFL football season being almost here, we're gorifying a football. But first, on to another edition of Horror Headlines. This week, we've got a lot of TV horror news, starting with a From Dusk Till Dawn TV series. Now, rumors of this have been around for some time, but I was fortunate enough to be at Chicago Comic-Con, where there was a Robert Rodriguez panel, and he pretty much showed off a new badass teaser for the show, confirming that it's a go. It's set to begin filming October 9th. I can't wait to see what he comes up with. All of this was in response to the question, are you and Quentin Tarantino going to collaborate on anything again? So I'm hoping Quentin Tarantino is going to be involved somehow. Now, since horror-themed shows are making a killing these days, The Exorcist has joined the bandwagon and is being pitched around to networks. I can see this as maybe a mini-series, but a full series is kind of hard to comprehend. Maybe the demonic possession bounces around between characters each season. We'll have to wait and see if it's picked up. The Exorcist is also celebrating its 40th anniversary this year with an upcoming Blu-ray release soon. Paranormal Activity is skipping a new 2013 film release, but will release not one but two Paranormal Activity films in 2014. Paranormal Activity The Marked Ones will release early, January 3rd, 2014, followed by Paranormal Activity 5 on October 24th, 2014. Hopefully a year off will kind of help revive the series a little bit, bring back some of that creativity, because it's starting to get a little bit overdone. Our last bit of horror news is that American Horror Story, my favorite horror show on TV, has started its online advertising again for the upcoming season, American Horror Story Coven. They always come up with these crazy teaser trailers that just give you a sample of what the theme of the show is going to be. There's 3 so far called Detention, Pins and Needles, and Staircase. My favorite is the Pins and Needles one, giving off a voodoo doll theme for this season. There's a live girl stabbed with voodoo pins and she kind of lunges at the screen. It's crazy. The show's going to air on October 9th, and they've released the name of the first episode, which is my new favorite word. It's called Bitchcraft. Bitchcraft. Have you ever wanted to piece together your own horror football team? We'll start with the football. Here's how. First, you're going to need an old, boring pigskin football that we're going to make much cooler by spray painting it bright blood red. Be sure to apply Kills latex primer to the football before adding the red paint. This will be our base layer to build around. Next, we're going to make 2 sheets of skin to cover our football with. You'll need to use a lot of liquid latex because you'll want a good amount of thickness once it dries. Be sure to pour the latex on parchment paper so that it peels off easily later. Add sheets of toilet paper across the liquid latex, arranging it in an oval shape. This is also a great way to make real-looking skin for other props or projects. It will need to dry for around 24 hours until it has a dry, rubbery feel to it. When it does dry, it tends to turn slightly yellow, which is a good sign that it's ready to be painted. We used brown acrylic paint to make our dried latex look more like dried dead skin. Make sure the brush is fairly dry and that you're not using too much paint by dry brushing a paper towel first. Less is more here, as we only want a slight coat to get the skin tone to look right. Plus, it dries instantly this way. And there you have it, 2 sheets of dead skin. If everything is dry, it peels right off the parchment paper into usable sheets of homemade flesh. Back to our football, we next started to create a face, gluing down teeth and eyes. Our teeth were molded from polymer clay, baked in the oven for 30 minutes at 270 degrees. Apply paint to dirty and yellow the teeth as needed. With our basic face in place, it's time to start adding our layers of skin. Cut the sheets of skin into different sized pieces to arrange around the football. This part requires a little creativity fitting different shapes together. The translucency of the latex on top of the red paint really adds a grungy, decayed look to it. With a few pieces in place, we will stitch them all together to appear like there are lots of different pieces of skin used here. It definitely took us some time, but eventually the entire football was covered. We left the top laces open to keep the iconic look of a football. With some final touch-ups, black acrylic paint added, and a sealant across the whole thing, Franken-football lives. If Leatherface played football, I hope this is what he'd use. That's all we've got for you this episode. Next time, we're going to show you how to get the coolest frickin' fangs you can possibly find. These things are awesome, so keep an eye out for that. As always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram for horror news and photos throughout the week. Stay bloody.